It's the three-man weave best bet show presented by Field of 68, sponsored by BetRivers. We're excited to talk another Saturday of hoops. Fellas, what a weekend. What a day yesterday, by the way. The slate, gorgeous. Some awesome games we saw. Finally, some meat at the top of that rotation order on the odds makers books. Basketball. We're in prime time, baby. Hey, before I ask Jim and Matt for some takeaways, I'm going to plug BetRivers. They have a 4-leg college basketball parlay boost right now, $25 or more. BetRivers will give you a 20% free profit boost. It's available in all states with a sports book in it. And the profit boost will be loaded within 30 minutes of your qualifying offer being made. So, BetRivers, check it out. Parlay boost, boom, boom, boom. Matt, takeaways from yesterday. What'd you see, man?
Great day for the Big Ten. And even better day for Mr. Ken Pomeroy, who gets to look at everyone and laugh, cackle evilly as his Virginia Cavaliers. And I say his Virginia Cavaliers just because they were ranked so outliery high in his model. Sure enough, we talked about how Baylor was going to smack him and how the line was insane, yada, yada, yada. And then they put a 24-4 run out of the gate. Is Virginia back, Jim? Tony Bennett, is the mojo return to Hooland?
Maybe. I mean, they're shooting over 50% from three, and it's a lot of the same guys that shot 30% from three last year. So I'm skeptical a little bit. But you can't deny how impressive that run was yesterday. It felt like an avalanche coming down on Baylor. They just had no prayer against it. So that was half my takeaway. My other half is that the Orange is dominating Vegas, Kai. Illinois, Terrence Shannon.
Yeah.
Super impressive effort against UCLA. UCLA kind of dominated the end of the first half, got a nice little lead. And then we saw the Brad Underwood pressure that we thought UCLA could handle completely destroy that UCLA team. They melted down in the second half, and Shannon couldn't miss. 8 for 9 from three, just absolutely ludicrous. So we're going to have a nice little battle tomorrow between Illinois and Virginia for that championship.
Also, absolutely. It's completely blasphemy that game is before the consolation game.
It is weird, right? It's very weird.
Like, all right, and for the encore, the losers bracket game is stupid.
Very odd indeed. That's an awesome tournament, by the way. Really pleased that that's happening. Really fun to see those matchups yesterday. Virginia, I guess I'm not ready to say, whoa, top 5 team in the country. It's one game. Can't overreact. And they shot the crap out of the ball. There's a lot of same guys from last season's team that didn't shoot that well. So TBD on them. We still love Tony Bennett, of course, top 5 coach. All that good stuff. Let's get into the games, man. Let's get into the slate. Maryland versus SLU is our highlight. That's right. SLU, Matt, makes the top game of the rundown. Mohegan Sun, another MTE here. Huge game for SLU. A win puts them one step closer to an at-large bid. They already notched that huge win over Memphis. And Matt, this is Maryland's first real test. Who do you got?
I'll be honest, I loved SLU for the first, 30 minutes of that game against Memphis, and I think we've been SLU believers all year. However, I've been a Maryland guy too, and I think this is a sneaky good spot to back him, especially at the current price. The market pushed this up to 4. I think it's still at 4 at BetRivers in most places right now.
3.5, unfortunately.
Okay, well, yeah, I'd stay away, which is good because I don't want to endorse fading SLU. Concern for SLU, Kai. We saw what the pressure did to them, Memphis. Maryland has been dialing up some pressure as well. Like Kevin Willard's trying to make that a part of his DNA there. Some extended full court pressure with selective pushing of tempo on offense. I think SLU could deal with some issues there with the length that they have across all 5 positions. If Kevin Willard watched that Memphis game, Jim, you think he's going to pull that out of his bag of tricks pretty soon?
I would certainly hope so. And Kevin Willard actually pretty good in this general spot as an underdog in his career at Seton Hall. 83 and 58 as an underdog against the spread. 59%. Pretty darn good. I thought this was a hair high. I mean, I was on SLU last week against Memphis, so I feel like my number on them is pretty decent. So to see this one be above my number was shocking. Last night, Kai, I saw the 4. I didn't take it. I said maybe it'll go higher. Now it's 3. So I'm staying away. Unfortunately, missed a good number, but definitely lean towards Maryland there. I think these teams are pretty close to equal. I'm with Matt. Matt and I have just been Maryland guys all preseason, so I don't mind if you're trying to dip into the Terps here.
Yeah, this will be interesting, right? Like I said, first real test. Maryland's had no trouble putting away the subpar teams. It's also the biggest team SLU's faced. Maryland has size everywhere. Will it bother Yuri Collins? He has a 5-to-1 assist to turnover ratio right now, 50% assist rate. I mean, he's throwing up video game numbers passing the ball. He is one of the best point guards in the country. I do lean towards the dog here. It is +3 at BetRivers, I see. I think the line's more or less correct, but I think these teams are pretty evenly matched. So lean towards Maryland. Next game, Providence versus Miami. Two darlings, Jim, last year. Miami, the Elite Eight, the unexpected Elite Eight run. Providence, the Big East title run. Both teams have kind of played with their food in the early going, I would say. Who do you like in this game?
I've talked a lot on this show about Ed Cooley as an underdog or a favorite of 7 or more, how bad he is. It's like 40%. Matthew, he's really good as an underdog, though. Since arriving at Providence, 87 and 63, 58%. So I'm bringing the underdog stats with the coaches here.
Love it.
This obviously isn't like a big underdog situation. He's not really getting that many points, but I'm kind of selling this Miami team a little early, especially this is Omer going against power conference competition for the first time this season. Everybody's in love with the undersized 5-man that's dominated mid-major foes. I think this is a little bit of a step up going against this front line for Providence with Croswell. And even off the bench, Castro's been really solid for them. So I'm kind of leaning Providence, but I did make the number about exactly what it is. Have to sit this one out as well. Are you going to actually get your feet wet here?
No, I think the line's sharp. Miami's slight favorite feels right to me. Not a huge believer in Providence. Like Miami, as you mentioned, has some flaws. May have been masked last year that might get exposed as they start to step up in competition. Kai, interesting handicapping angle here. Jimmy Larrañaga going back to his old alma mater, played at Providence, and he's chasing his 700th win today.
I was unaware.
I would remind you, how did that go for Jim Boeheim chasing his historic win when Colgate came knocking it down? Maybe he's distracted by all the pop.
FYI,
he what?
Not at Providence. This is in Uncasville. Neutral.
Oh, that's right. It's not at Providence. Okay. But he's playing Providence, his alma mater. So there's we got to beat your old school type of thing. But like I said, the Jim Boeheim thing maybe makes me a little bit nervous, or that could just be all nonsense and maybe it doesn't matter whatsoever. Your thought?
Yeah, like I said, so both these teams kind of played with their food early on. Miami's 1-2 against the spread. Providence almost lost at home to Rider, so not as sharp as we probably expected these teams to come out of the gate, especially Miami. I'm curious to see the Ed Croswell versus Omer matchup, because to Croswell's credit, he has the number one offensive rebounding rate in the country, 33.5% offensive rebounding rate. That's video game numbers as well. Collins and Croswell, video game. Omer, though.
It's so funny that it's triple his defensive rebounding rate.
It's nuts. The guy just goes hard on the glass, I guess. But Omer's a pretty good a test for him up front. A grizzled veteran matchup in the backcourt. Got Wong, Pack, Bynum. Should be pretty fun to watch. I think Miami's the more talented team. I just trust them a little bit less. I think Providence can run the shooters off the line. So I actually lean towards Providence ever so slightly in this game. Next one here, very fun one. Stephen F. Austin goes to South Dakota State. Matthew, I had a gut feel on SFA +7. It just feels too high. And I love my bunnies. I do.
Hey, I do too.
What do you think?
I kind of lean the other way, I'll be honest, Kai. So South Dakota State won at SFA last season. And actually won there at a really tough travel spot. I just think the South Dakota State team is so trustworthy. They've been in some really tough situational travel spots, and they continue to play really well. I know the St. Bonaventure game is kind of a stinker, but I give credit to Mark Schmidt and that zone he threw at the Jack Bunnies kind of thwarted their offense. I think against the pressure, that's where this game is going to be determined. I like the over here more, Jim, because I don't really know if South Dakota State can break the pressure. Zeke Miles has been really struggling, by the way, this year, shooting and taking care of the basketball. On one hand, if South Dakota State attacks it effectively, I guess they'll score really quickly and efficiently themselves, but turnovers will lead to easy buckets and quick buckets for us if they go the other way. Either outcome, good for over. I think the over is the best play in this game.
I don't have a total take. I'm of two minds on the side. The turnovers are the huge thing. Right now, South Dakota State is 344th turnover rate. It's really bad. They don't have a true point guard now that Shireman's gone. He was kind of.
They haven't made shots. Also, sorry not to interrupt him.
Yeah, no, and the making shots was the big part of the Bonaventure game. They got a ton of open ones against that zone, but it wasn't produced in the same rhythm as their normal man-to-man offense, and I think that kind of messed with them. I do think it's noteworthy though that, like you said, they've been on a kind of a travel all over the world tour. And this is finally their real home opener. They played in Sioux Falls, but that's not a true home game for them. This is the actual home opener. Maybe they're really hyped to be back home after all the traveling they've been doing. So it feels a tad high. Kai, I'm with you on that. 7. I don't think these programs are that far apart, especially with the point guard questions that South Dakota State has. But I could see them having the 12 for 24 3-point shooting game that scares me away here.
Yeah, weird but true stat here. South Dakota State has scored under 1 point per possession in the last 3 games. It seems unprecedented for them. They just can't put the ball in the basket. I am worried about the turnovers here. SFA gets in your jock. They defend. I'm also giving them a slight pass for the Alcorn loss. That's a good team.
Alcorn's
very good, well-coached team. I think SFA can wreak some havoc and cause issues for the Bunny. So I do lean towards them in this matchup. Next game, Jim, a fun one. Hofstra at St. Mary's. The battle of the undefeateds. Hofstra has looked wildly good. Top 35 offense right now, and they beat Iona, and they won at Princeton. They won at San Jose State. Who do you like?
I lean towards the Gales. Hofstra's their second game of their little West Coast travel spot here. They just beat San Jose State, as you said. Like maybe one of the best. It's probably the best mid-major pick and roll attack in the country. Like Estrada is just a monster in that action. Gets in the lane, finds the roll man. But we haven't seen Warren Williams yet for Hofstra. Kind of the man in the middle was supposed to be key for them. I think the Gales can just dominate the paint with their size. And Matt, they're a really good pick and roll defense. Like they're so sound positionally. They're going to force Estrada to make like skip passes, and then they'll run shooters off the line, put them in tough spots. I think this is a tough matchup for that Hofstra pick and roll attack. And St. Mary's has already grinded a bunch of really good mid-major teams into a pulp.
Yep.
So I lean that way, despite the number being sort of high. I'm semi-interested in a Gales first half, but I haven't actually dabbled anything yet.
I'm just bummed out because this feels like deja vu to last year, where I love St. Mary's. The market loves St. Mary's. And by like game 3, it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to lay these numbers anymore. They're just too high. But then last year, they continued to keep covering them. I'd be inclined to use that intel and continue to trust your instinct on St. Mary's if you think they're that good, which I think we do. But Hofstra's legit, man. I think you mentioned it, Jim. And the home court advantage won't be as strong today because they are coming from nearby. And I think a dynamic shot-making guard could be the potential kryptonite to St. Mary's defense. But again, no action. Have no appetite to fade the Gales. Number's too high for me to actually lay the points.
Yeah, man. St. Mary's. What, Jim?
Shot making guard. They just played Max Asmus and kind of shut.
That's
him down.
True. Completely. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking at.
That's a great point.
This is a battle of strength for strength. I said Hofstra's got a top 35 offense. St. Mary's is top 10 right now in defense, and it looks legit. This team is awesome on both ends. Like Jim, Matt, and I are talking. Jim mainly about taking a flyer for them to win the WCC. That's how good St. Mary's has looked so far. So it's a major test for Hofstra. However, Hofstra can shoot. That's the great equalizer here. They will probably get some looks from the outside. They're not stopping St. Mary's on offense, but maybe St. Mary's controls the pace here. Low possession game, 13.5 points, a bit high. I lean towards Hofstra. All right, chat mob round 1. I think we got Matthew on the ones and twos.
I'm on it. Not a ton of questions, I'll be honest. People are distracted by college football today. Who cares?
Don't watch college football, except Mizzou versus
more
New
people
Mexico
care.
State.
I get it.
Go Tigers.
Who they play today?
New Mexico State.
This should be a doozy. No one cares. All right, first question. I'm going to spoil my best bet right off the jump here from Daniel. What about the Bonnies minus 7.5 against Bowling Green? Wrong. Other way. You're what? Bowling Green. This is my best bet. Plus 7.5, I believe, is the updated number. I faded the Bonnies, I think, last week. I think I faded them every game this year, and I don't have any disrespect toward Mark Schmidt. I just think that roster is pretty weak. Yeah. They had some. Is it Luke? Who's their point guard?
Luke.
Yeah, I mean, he really impressed me, but I just don't think he has a lot of help. And I think they're overly relying on him and Lee to make shots. I'm just not in on this Bonnies team, especially as a favorite. And Bowling Green's been feisty, man. I think they're a good bounce back candidate this year as a play on because of the injuries they had last season. They played against Air Force's zone pretty well. I think if they see that zone that the Bonnies threw at South Dakota State, they'll be somewhat competent to execute against it. So I'd say it's too many points, Kai. Plain simple.
Yeah.
And we're still in chat mob. So
I lean your way. Yeah. Best bet, Matthew. Good job.
Thank you. It's a winner. Matthew Akers, a few others actually asked about this one. Jim, going to you for a little West Coast showdown. UC Irvine, Pepperdine.
On
some market tug of war
right after chat mob. So we'll
on the outline.
That's right. It's to make the outline good. It's a great game. All right. A lot of good thoughts on that game coming up. Stay tuned. Benny and the Jets asking about Kent State, Chicago State, not on the outline, but Matthew Cox has a wager, and that's Kent State. Market came in on Chicago State early. I don't understand it. 22 down to 20.
Just keeps on fading the.
You guys can just
Cougars,
listen.
man.
I'll inform the people. I'll lecture. Yeah, I bet Valpo last game, Jim. That was a nice bet for us, right? Valpo was only down 20 in the first half. Kent State's a different animal, and Chicago State away from home, it's just a lot worse. I know it's not a huge travel, but home road Chicago State splits are pretty stark.
Yeah, Chicago State started that game 7 for 9 from 3 against Valpo. That's not happening again. I kind of like Kent State first half and full game. I think they beat the brakes off them.
Another one from Daniel. UNC Fresno alternate total under 80. I kind of love this angle. Like, what's the actual total? 117, which is one of the lowest we've seen all season.
It's like 114 now.
It's down. Okay.
It's very low. If Tyler Perry's out, yeah. Oh, by the way, this game's in the outline.
Is it really?
Yes, Matt.
Matt, do you?
Oh
do you
my goodness! All right,
shows?
Not really. No,
it's not.
It's
not a
Jimmy.
super deep slate today.
It's not. It really isn't. Question about Eastern Michigan getting points at Oakland, bounce back game, in-state rival. Kai, I did think the opener was a little bit too high. Too much respect for Oakland, who has some issues right now, some defensive issues. Thoughts?
I guess I lean Emu. I lean over. I think there's going to be a ton of points. Neither team plays defense.
It's
over.
been bet up big time.
It's 160 and a half. That's high.
Yeah,
that's really high.
It's too high. There's a few totals today that have been smashed over. A few that just went nuts.
Obvious totals. Yeah.
This is the kind of game that actually will get Bates and Farrakhan motivated. Like in-state team, they probably know Rocket Watts from, or at least Imani does, from getting recruited to Michigan State. I think he's locked in. When they go on the road to Bradley, they don't care. But this one, I think they'll be dialed.
Yeah, I think we were impressed by EMU against Michigan, but then now, as we see Michigan fade into oblivion, maybe that wasn't as good of an effort as we thought at the time. A few folks asking about Seattle-Portland. We have a Jim v. Kai dispute here. Kai, you first, Jim, you second on this game.
Well, yeah, I should have Jim second. I like Seattle here. I've been fading Portland a little bit. It hasn't really worked out. Didn't work out against Air Force, rather. Kent State beat them. But I just think it's too much respect. There's not a lot of travel here. Seattle, I think, is pretty good. They're very well coached. In fairness to Portland, they are too. But I think Jim can probably articulate his side a little bit better. He's stronger opinion here.
Maybe. We'll see. Yeah, one of my best bets is Portland -3.
Woo!
I know the market has been against me here. Like this, I think it opened 4.5 and it's been bet down. I just really like Portland. I think that they've got a lot of versatile playmaking, and they went into that Air Force game saying like, all right, we need to kind of slow down, figure things out. Kent State kind of smashed them as part of that long travel that they were on. And they really did. Like they found a little more patience with the ball. I think that'll play up against Seattle here. And I'm a little lower on Seattle than Kai's. I don't love that roster. There's not a lot of playmaking in the backcourt. Cam Tyson can make 8 threes and make me look like an idiot, but they lost really Kyrie Brown to the portal, Darian Trammell to the portal. Those were their two like linchpins on offense and pressure valves on defense that made their turnover rate so high last year. So I'm kind of lower on them, Maddie. Portland for me.
Yep, no take. I'll be on the fence. Let's get two more and then back to outline. Ted Spencer, Kai, asked about Northern Colorado against San Jose State. I laid the points. I thought it was a little too short, even though I'm betting against Tim Miles, and it's not something I usually advise. I think Northern Colorado playing a team not named Baylor or Houston will be good for that offense. So I think they come out of their offensive lulls and hang 80 or 90 on this.
I agree. They're finally playing a team they're better than. So I agree.
Yep.
Yeah.
Last one, Jim. Twofer from Fondell. Nichols, BYU, or Robert Morris, Dayton. Any thoughts on either of those two? I think the latter is important. Mally Smith might be back today. So key thing for Dayton there.
It sounds like he is. There's like a video where he's in it and looks like he's going to play. You don't know about Deron Holmes and Tamani Kamara. They're both day-to-day, but there's a chance all those guys are back in Dayton's full strength. I'm kind of scared of Dayton if they're full strength. I think they're going to rock.
Bobby Moe is going to be, they're not good up front, so there could be a bloodbath inside.
Yeah. On the other one, I expected to be on Nichols. I thought the number would be a hair higher, but it's dog or nothing for me. BYU's, they're just not a good favorite right now. They don't have playmaking in the backcourt. They've got a little bit of shooting, but they don't have guys to create for those shooters. So I think Nichols, who's been a really good underdog throughout the years under Austin Clunch, I think that would be the side for me.
Yeah, they need to find some more eligibility for Alex Barcelo, but BYU's in trouble right now. Let's go back to the outline. We'll get to the last round.
Let's do it. Interval. Hey, let's hit UC Irvine at Pepperdine. A question in the chat. A lot of questions in the chat. So yes, market loves Pepperdine. This game was pushed to 4. A famous conglomerate bet Pepperdine. Boy, am I on the other side here, Jim. I like Irvine. Who do you like?
I like Irvine as well. I don't want to swipe your point if you're going to go into detail on it.
Go for it.
Irvine smashed them last year. Destroyed them. Granted, it was a young backcourt. Max Lewis did not play in that game. But I like this Irvine team. They've been really strong so far this year. That win at Oregon really stands out. It's like, oh, wow, that's what they're capable of. Matt, the one question I had with Irvine coming into the year was, who's the big man? Who's the guy that fills that role that's been constant under Russell Turner?
It's
Ben
Bent.
Lupton had an awesome game last game. He was the
raining
best player on the
threes.
floor. So I'm sold now that I've seen like full evidence that Lupton is really solid. I'm in on Irvine, and Matt, this is a coaching mismatch. Turner over Romar every time.
Yes.
Yeah, I made this close to pick, so I understand the money on Pepperdine, but I also don't because
you do.
I don't.
I
don't get the money on Pepperdine.
If you made it close to pick, shouldn't you think it would?
That's what I'm saying. I understand people would disagree with the number I made, but I'm with you. I like Irvine at the current number. I wish I would have got it when it hit 4, but I think you have to respect how talented Pepperdine is. I know it's the biggest coaching mismatch that might exist in college basketball, but Pepperdine, this talent crop is scary. Like maybe the best Romar's had. And even with Colby Ross and the Esslers, the Edwards bros, I think this group's more talented. So you could argue there's like real serious upside here. Against Irvine, though, not the time you want to back them.
Yeah, I agree. The talent is awesome. And that's why people love Pepperdine. They saw the first game against Rice and they're like, oh, this team's amazing. And they could be. They're just a high variance team. They're very undisciplined. This is anything but a disciplined team. And you saw when they finally played a disciplined team, it was Fullerton and they lost. Fullerton's physical, Fullerton's disciplined, and Pepperdine lost. Irvine, about as disciplined a team as you can get. That program is year in, year out, plays good basketball, Turner over Romar all day. It's not a lot of travel. Irvine beat Oregon and LMU, which looks awesome now. 2 really good efforts. I don't get the Pepperdine play. I'm going Irvine +3. Next one, unless someone's hurt. That's my caveat.
Who cares?
Watch out for injuries.
Players don't matter. Doesn't matter.
All right, next game. New Mexico State at New Mexico. New Mexico's looked awesome, Matt. They've proved the majority of college basketball hype media this offseason correct. Southern Utah, South Alabama, SMU. That's an impressive 3-game stretch there. Who do you like?
The number I like New Mexico State. I'm just not going to back them because it's still a team that feels very work in progress to me. And just the whole vibe around this game is New Mexico has been owned by the Aggies like the last 10 years, basically during the Chris Jans era. And now they finally have the better team and they're at home. I just think they come out super locked in, super ready to go, and they put a hurt on New Mexico State. Just a pure gut feeling, Jim. I have no other reasons to back that up. Just seems like with the historical precedent between these two schools, bitter rivals, I think New Mexico gets them today.
Interesting fact here, Matt. The last 4 meetings, New Mexico has covered. So it wasn't like
they covered 4 straight.
Totally owned them. Yeah. 2 of those were COVID year when neither team was at home or whatever like that. That's kind of a outlier kind of thing. But last year, relatively impressive. New Mexico won once and lost by 2 in the other game.
Yeah.
So close. I was shocked by that. The one historical trend that I think I'm dialing into here is the over. 5 of the last 6 have gone over. I know it's a new coach for New Mexico State, but Heyer is basically a Chris Jans acolyte. Like he's going to run all the same stuff. They're going to get up and down. We know New Mexico likes to do that, Kai, with this nucleus, the 2 guards, Mashburn, and why is the other one escaping me?
Escaping me as well.
House.
There we go. But yeah, like those guys are go. I know they have a little more interior defense this year, but I still think we see a lot of points in this one. I mean, last year, one of the games was 101-94. The other one was 78-76. I think it's points.
Yeah. I like that angle, Jim. New Mexico State's no pushover. It is a rivalry game, but it's not Jans' team anymore. I think Greg Heyer's a good coach, but if it was Jans, I'd feel more comfortable about them. Their 20 turnovers against UTEP has me pretty scared. I think New Mexico can turn them over. So I would stay away. Maybe lean towards the Lobos. Next game, Middle Tennessee at Missouri State. Yes, this one made the outline. Jim, Middle Tennessee bounced back nicely after a Winthrop loss. They beat Rice. Missouri State impressive against BYU. Who do you like in this game? Short spread. I think it's like -2 in favor of the Bears.
Yeah, I made the spread exactly what it is and sat on my hands because Middle Tennessee, I was on them against Winthrop and was rather bummed out by their lack of strong effort, and then was against them with Rice, and that was also disgusting.
Rice stinks at defense. God,
yeah,
horrid.
2 straight games I've been on the total wrong side of Middle Tennessee, a team I wrote for the Almanac and was pretty high on. Might have knocked them a little too much for that Winthrop effort. Matt, they kind of changed up starting lineup a little bit. They brought in Cam Weston instead of the JUCO transfer Justin Porter, and I thought Weston was going to be like the breakout guy for them. So I kind of like the way that's trending, and their defensive effort against Rice was monstrous. So staying away, Missouri State, that's kind of more your area of expertise. So I'll defer to you.
Yeah, not this year. It's a lot of new pieces, a lot of new faces, but they are still pretty talented. Not as talented as last year's crop, but still a plus talent group. Kai, my concern is Middle Tennessee just plays so damn hard and they play so well together. It's just one of those teams where you watch them, it's just like that's the essence of basketball. Like you playing hard is a skill, as they say, and this team just plays so hard. Like watching that game against Rice was, yeah, they were better, more talented, more athletic, but just they cared way more. They're so deep. McDevitt's really like reinvigorated this program with this crop of 10 sort of faceless dudes, no pure stars. Everyone kind of plays for each other. Kind of like the Pacific Damon Stoudemire team a couple of years back. I kind of get that vibe from this Middle Tennessee State team. So gut leans toward the Blue Raiders, Kai, but price is about right where it is.
Yeah, I agree. Middle Tennessee's coaching it's what has me kind of leaning their way here. I don't think Dana Ford's bad by any means. I just think he's not quite as good as McDevitt. I still am not sure what we have in this Missouri State team. I know they were impressive against BYU. We already kind of said how we think BYU is a little odd this year. There's still a lot of newcomers, new faces on Missouri State. So I'm still going to wait on them before backing them fully. Last game on the rundown before another chat mob and our best bets. It's Fresno State at North Texas. One of the lowest totals I have seen in college basketball. It's down to 114 for good reason. North Texas just scored 33 points against St. Mary's Gym. The under obviously got pounded. Tyler Perry, their best player. We don't know his status. He might be out. -5.5, I got to be honest, seems like a lot, especially if Perry's out of the lineup.
Yeah, that you can't bet North Texas without knowing Perry's status. And McCaslin's been really cryptic. He's like that, he's so competitive that we got to make sure we know that he's good to go because he won't like hold up if he's limited or something like that's. It sounds dicey, and I'm trying to I think he re-injured something, which is you want to get more rest if that's what happened. But as far as the under, obviously this is a 2-team dance, and Fresno is more than willing to play slow, take bad shots sometimes. So I get why the number is as low as it is. My number indicated the over, and I was like, no, thank you. I have no interest in that. I'm not going to fade the market. I'm not going to sit there and hope that these teams somehow combine for 120 points because, Matt, that sounds miserable. If it gets down to 5 and Perry's in, I would take it. But kind of waiting to see if Perry's in, and it's not going to go down if he plays. So this one's kind of a tough stay away for me.
Yeah, I still want to take the under. With totals, it's tricky. I think you have to be somewhat strict to your strike prices. But when you look at the opposite ends of the spectrum, like the really, really high totals that could go bananas, or the really, really low totals that could be like 50 to 45, I don't think you need to be as strict on like, I got a stale number. We're 1 or 2 points off.
Sure.
This one should be 100 points total. I mean, I think I'd still take under at this point. I didn't bet it at the opener. I might just bet it now. The more I've thought about how anemic both offenses are. I mean, Fresno just looked helpless on offense against San Francisco. They just have no idea what they're doing without Orlando Robinson. Jamal Baker, the UK transfer, doesn't look 100%. He's never been 100%. So a lot of question marks. Yeah. And I just would think under is the home run play here, as obvious as it looks on the surface.
Chat mob round 2, Matt. Let's do it.
Let's hit the main board first, and we'll hit a few extras rapid fire here at the end. Jim, Montana and Troy from Shannon and a few others. The Grizz.
We're going to holster that for my other best bet.
That's right. We will holster it.
What? People know what it is. If I've already given one best bet and I haven't given an under, it's the under.
It's the Undertaker. We all know, Jim.
Under 133.5 there. I believe these teams are all playing their third game in 3 days. Brandon Whitney potentially out for Montana, their key creator, and he is a dogged on-ball defender, so that might not help the under so much. But I just think tempo is going to be really slow. There's that back-to-back cumulative effect that I think is really, really good for unders. So I'm going to ride that. Markets bet it down a little bit, but under 133.5 for me there.
Hi, Tooch, Youngstown, UCSD, University of Cal San Diego. I thought they'd open this a lot higher, just how good Youngstown's been. Mm-hmm. But I don't really have a play on this game. Why am I not on Youngstown is my question. I lean
towards Youngstown. UC San Diego. UC San Diego coming out of overtime yesterday. It's -6.5.
It's up 6.5. Okay. That looks okay.
UC San Diego played overtime yesterday against Navy. They did not cover in overtime, like an 8-point spread. That's tough for UC San Diego backers. I lean towards the over in this game as well. Youngstown games have been scoring a lot of points. It's a pretty good offense, but I got no play in here.
Yeah, just that note that UC San Diego is playing back-to-back after overtime, and Youngstown did not play yesterday. So they're
good
rested and waiting.
Yep.
Jim, to the Virgin Islands we go. Buffalo Howard, question from Mike Adams, asking Buffalo -4. It's up to 5 at most places now. Buffalo's a weird team. Cannot figure them out. Who are they? Are they good? Are they not good? It's weird.
Yeah,
Jekyll and Hyde.
Up at halftime on Drake yesterday, I was on Buffalo and was able to middle that game because I don't trust Buffalo. So I was like, hey, I got a shot in the middle. I think they're going to lose. And thankfully they did. What's really confusing, Matt, is that Howard-Wyoming game yesterday that was super, super slow. And I don't know why. And so I don't really know what's going on with Howard. If they're trying to pump the brakes a little bit, that doesn't seem like what I expected from them. But I don't know. Like, I think both these teams are kind of mysteries, and that's making it a very hard stay away from me.
I agree. Kai, Justin Young asking about Northeastern +15. Syracuse, are we going to continue to fade Jim Boeheim at this point? Or are you scared to back the young, youthful Northeastern Huskies?
I'm scared to back Northeastern. Last couple of years, I used to be an automatic Bill Cohen backer. He used to be pretty profitable. He just hasn't figured this team out the last couple of years. The lack of guard play is really, really tough. This Syracuse defense is legit, in my opinion, despite the Colgate flurry of shots that were hit against them. So I stay clear away.
Hi, right back to you from Wonka Dog, asking about one of those high over totals that I think we all lean toward, even though at this point it's almost too obvious. Elon specifically in question, playing NC State. Yeah. Wolfpack just, I think, had a 200 total game against FIU. I think the over is probably the right play. Is the number too high now at 158 is the question?
No, I still lean towards the over. 157, I think, at BetRivers. Yeah, Elon's playing at a top 35 offensive pace. NC State will gladly take that. They're going to run up and down. I lean towards the over.
It's a noon start. Maybe it's early. You might be worried about that. No, I think it doesn't matter. I'm with you. Let's go to extra board real quick here. A few people asking about UNC Asheville versus EKU. Jim, Matthew Akers is the one that asked first. I love Asheville because my guy Drew Pembroke plays for them. I don't really have a ton of takes on EKU.
EKU's been frustrating, and they're really, really young. So I don't know. It's probably Asheville or nothing. This is going to be a up and down game, really high total, and I think that favors the more talented team, which right now is Asheville.
Kai, St. Peter's -4 against St. Francis. The Peacocks against which St. Francis is this? The Pennsylvania one or the Brooklyn one? Brooklyn. Yeah, I'd lean the Peacocks.
Feels a little short. I don't think the Terriers are very good.
Yeah, I think Jim's
pointing under. Yeah. That's probably correct as well. Yeah, I lean towards St. Peter's.
A couple here at the Horn I'm seeing just fly in. Army versus William and Mary from the Savage. Army off that. Sorry, Army Navy's the one who covered in overtime against UCSD. Never mind. I don't know if Army played yesterday, so I'm the blind on this one.
Army just beat Siena in overtime a couple days ago.
I think that was their most recent game. I like Army here. I'm pretty impressed with them to this point. They're freshmen. I mean, I know they're freshmen, but the fact that Benson and the other Ethan Roberts, I think is the other one, have been so good is really boosting them because they needed shooting and those guys are providing it. So with Rucker, they moved Cross to the bench last game, Jared Cross, because the freshmen are so good. So I'm kind of buying Army as a little bit of a buy low here.
Yeah, military schools continue to outpace our expectations. We should probably take note of that. A couple of people asking, enthusiastically, Kai, Mercer Winthrop. -3.5, Mercer laying it. I guess I lean Mercer, but Mercer's a team I never trust. They'll get up 20 and they'll blow that lead within blink of an eye. So yeah, not backing it.
I'm still not really keen on backing Mercer either without Grant and Glisson. They haven't mattered a whole lot. I just rather have a healthy team. So nothing there.
Last one, Jim. Florida Atlantic versus Detroit. How good are these Owls? Also, the Titans, really good too. Thoughts?
I agree with the market. This came down. I think it's down to 9.5, 10. And I think that's right. I got an 11 last night. You guys have been all over Detroit. I have not been winning bets on them. So tip my cap to you guys. I'm finally trying to come around and get in on that Antoine Davis money train.
Yeah, he played well last game. I think that's a sneaky, talented team. All right, best bets recap. And I will keep the mic as I look at the outline, which I never look at, but I'll try and play by the rules. As I spoiled earlier, Bowling Green +7 and the hook up in Olean, taking on the Bonnies. Like the Bonnies, just not as a favorite. So I'm going to fade them today.
All right. My best bets, Portland -3. As I mentioned earlier, Kai is against that. So if you, if you don't like when the weave is against each other, maybe that's not your favorite.
No, pick your side. Choose your fighter. Come on, guys.
And then my under of the day, of course, Troy and Montana, 133.5, playing their third game in 3 days. I think that game is a slog. Kai, your best bet.
My best bet is NC State -25. Like I kind of said earlier, I like the over in this game. I think there's going to be a ton of possessions. Billy Taylor is running on offense for Elon. That's bad news against NC State. They just feast off these fast games against lesser opponents. Elon lost to North Dakota. This team is kind of in shambles right now. So I think NC State blows them out.
Yeah, Kai, they got Austin Peay to run, won by 49. They got FIU to run, won by 33.
Yes. If you can get Austin Peay to run, you're in good shape for getting Elon to run. That does it, guys. Thank you for joining us on our Spinny Saturday show. Hey, we're back tomorrow. That's right. We are back tomorrow for a Sunday show, our first Sunday show of the year, because the slate is awesome. We have to talk about tomorrow's games. 10:15 a.m. Central Time once again tomorrow. Again, thanks to BetRivers. Go bet that parlay, get a 20% boost. And thank you to Field of 68. We will see you guys tomorrow.